Hello! You're watching movie snapshot scenes, and this is the summary of Mad Max: Fury Road. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In a scorched post-apocalyptic desert ruled by chaos and war, Max Rockatansky, once a cop, now a lone drifter, is haunted by the ghosts of his past. Driven mad by guilt and loss, he roams the wasteland in silence, surviving only by instinct. But fate has other plans. Captured by the war boys, the fanatical army of the tyrant Immortan Joe, Max is taken to the Citadel, a fortress carved into the rock and powered by oppression. At the Citadel, Immortan Joe controls everything, especially water, now called Aqua Cola. He rules with brutal authority, idolized as a god by his war boys, who eagerly sacrifice themselves in hopes of reaching Valhalla. But beneath this iron rule, rebellion simmers. Enter Imperator Furiosa, strong, determined, and secretly defiant. She's entrusted with driving the war rig on a supply run to Gastown. But unbeknownst to Joe, she has a secret cargo: his 5 wives, young women he's kept as breeders in his twisted vision of humanity's future. Furiosa is helping them escape. She's not just running from Joe, she's running toward redemption. As Furiosa veers off course, Immortan Joe discovers the betrayal. Fury ignites. He unleashes a savage pursuit across the desert, commanding an armada of weaponized vehicles. Max, still imprisoned and used as a blood bag for a sickly warboy named Nux, is strapped to the front of a pursuing car, dragged unwillingly into the chaos. Amid the thunderous roar of engines and the swirling sands, Max's survival instincts kick in. He breaks free during a ferocious sandstorm, when nature itself seems to rage against the tyranny of men. He crosses paths with Furiosa and the wives, a reluctant ally in their desperate bid for freedom. The stage is set. Dust, fire, and vengeance are in the air. Max is no longer just a prisoner. He's now part of a rebellion he never asked for. But in a world gone mad, sometimes the only way to find peace is through fury. The brutal sandstorm has passed, but its fury leaves behind only silence and wreckage. Max, coated in dust and blood, stumbles through the haze. He finds the war rig stuck in the sand, guarded by Furiosa and the 5 wives, splendid, capable, toast, dag, and fragile. Tension crackles in the air. He wants the truck. They want their freedom. Trust is a luxury no one can afford. Max is savage, a creature of survival, speaking only when he must. Furiosa is just as fierce, though her fury is focused, channeled. The 5 wives, once prisoners, refuse to return to their chains. With no choice but to cooperate, Max and Furiosa forge an uneasy alliance. The desert ahead is unforgiving, but behind them roars the storm of vengeance. Immortan Joe is coming. He rides in a monstrous vehicle, half chariot, half nightmare, his breathing mask hissing with rage. Flanked by war boys and rival faction leaders, the Bullet Farmer and the People Eater, Joe is a god at war. Among his ranks, Nux, desperate to prove himself worthy of Valhalla, clings to the chase. Though wounded and left behind, he stows away on the rig, driven by fanatical devotion. Inside the war rig, things are tense. Max rides shotgun, still suspicious, still silent. The wives challenge him. He is no savior, just another damaged man in a broken world. Furiosa doesn't flinch. She reveals her plan: to reach the green place, a land of abundance remembered from childhood. It's a fragile hope, but the only one they have. When Nux attacks from within, chaos erupts. Splendid risks herself to protect the others, and, in the struggle, she falls, slipping from the rig into the path of Immortan Joe. Her death hits like a detonation. Joe screams with grief and fury, his illusion of control shattered. Nux, once so loyal, is left questioning everything. Furiosa drives harder. Max begins to see something more than survival in her mission. These women fight not just to live, but to reclaim their future. The road ahead is long, the war far from over, but in the heat and dust of the wasteland, a spark has been lit. A revolution isn't built in silence. It screams, it roars, it rides. As the sun scorches the endless dunes, the war rig barrels forward, a steel beast fueled by desperation. Furiosa keeps her hands steady on the wheel, eyes locked ahead. She's navigating not just the terrain, but the rising tension within. Max remains quiet, watching, calculating. Trust still hangs by a thread, frayed by scars they don't speak of. Behind them, Immortan Joe's convoy closes in. The bullet farmer and the people eater bring with them their own twisted arsenals. Metal screams, tires explode across the cracked salt flats. This isn't a chase, it's a war procession. Joe wants his wives back, he wants Furiosa's head, and he wants Max's body broken beneath his wheels. The rig rolls into a canyon, narrow, rocky, perfect for an ambush. Furiosa has arranged a deal with a biker gang to block the pass after she crosses. But the plan falls apart when the bikers discover she's not running cargo but fugitives. Negotiation turns to gunfire. The rig must blast through. In a blaze of engine fire and gunpowder, Max and Furiosa fight side by side. Max, once an outsider, now bleeds for this fight. His hands steady a rifle. His voice breaks the silence. For the first time, he's not just surviving, he's protecting. The wives, no longer helpless, join the battle with grit and resolve. Capable tends to a shaken Nux, who begins to question everything he once believed about glory and sacrifice. As the rig escapes the canyon, the bikers detonate the pass behind them, trapping Joe's forces momentarily. But there's no time to breathe. Night falls, and with it comes another enemy, the bullet farmer, blinded by rage, armed to the teeth. He charges into the darkness, lighting up the desert with tracer fire and howling madness. In a haunting sequence beneath the starlit sky, Max ventures alone into the shadows to face the bullet farmer. Gunshots echo like thunder across the empty sands. When he returns, blood-soaked and victorious, something has changed in him. The silent drifter now stands with purpose. Together, they ride on, toward the green place, toward hope. But in the wasteland, hope is dangerous, and freedom demands more than courage. It demands sacrifice. The road is not finished, and the war is just beginning. The desert stretches on, vast and merciless. The war rig surges through it like a dying beast with fire in its lungs. Furiosa, dirt-streaked and steel-eyed, drives not just toward a destination, but toward redemption. Max sits beside her, less a passenger now, more a warrior reborn. The wives, hardened by the journey, are no longer just survivors. They are soldiers of hope. In the distance, a mirage becomes reality. A single tower stands against the sky, a beacon marking the edge of forgotten memory. Furiosa recognizes the signs. This is it. The threshold of the green place. Her voice cracks as she announces it. But the land she once knew is gone. They find only decay, poisoned soil, and the skeletons of life. The green place is now a graveyard. The memories, Furiosa clung to have rotted into dust. Despair threatens to suffocate the air inside the rig. The dream that fueled her rebellion is shattered. Then, movement on the horizon. They encounter the Vuvalini, an all-female clan of survivors, hardened matriarchs who ride with rifles slung across their backs and wisdom in their eyes. Furiosa falls to her knees when she realizes these are her people, her past, her blood. Emotions rush in, grief, joy, guilt. But the truth is bitter. The green place they remember has long since died, swallowed by the wasteland's rot. The Vuvalini have survived, but only just. Hope seems like a cruel joke now. They sit around a fire that night, wind howling beyond the dunes. Furiosa shares her failure. Max listens, silent but stirred. He's known loss. He's lived it. But in these women, he sees something else. Fire, Not rage, but purpose. And then Max speaks. Not many words, but enough. Why keep running forward into death? Why not turn back and take the Citadel? It's a mad idea. Insane. But in madness, there's clarity. The Citadel is poorly guarded. Joe and his army are out here. If they can turn around, race back through the canyons and storm the fortress, they might not find paradise, but they could build it. Furiosa looks at him. A plan forms, not an escape, a return, and with it, the revolution is born. Dawn breaks over the desert, casting a blood-red light on a world that's forgotten mercy. The decision is made. They won't run. They will return. The war rig turns around, wheels digging into sand with violent determination. Furiosa grips, the wheel with renewed purpose, Max at her side. Behind them, the Vuvolini and the remaining wives prepare for war. They're not just survivors anymore. They're an army. They charge into the wind, heading straight for Immortan Joe. He sees them, coming. At first, disbelief, then rage. He commands his war machine to pivot. Engines roar. The desert shakes under the weight of fury. The chase is back on. Only now, the hunted are charging the hunter. The canyon ahead is their only path. A narrow throat of rock and death. It's their trap, and their only hope. Furiosa, with nerves of steel, barrels into it full speed. The convoy follows, chaos in its wake. Nux, once a zealot, now reborn, joins them fully. His belief isn't in Joe anymore, it's in something real, something worth dying for. Explosions rock the cliffs as warboys leap from car to car, screaming. Battle cries. Metal clashes with metal, screams swallowed by the roar of engines. The Vuvolini fight like demons, sniping enemies with deadly precision. Toastmans the guns, capable keeps the wounded alive. Dag hurls salvaged grenades with grit and grace. Inside the rig, Furiosa takes a brutal hit, stabbed and bleeding, breath growing shallow. Max rushes to her side, fighting to keep her alive. For the first time, his survival isn't about himself. It's about them. He gives her his blood, his strength, his will to live. Then comes the reckoning. Furiosa faces Immortan Joe head-on, and in a final act of savage rebellion, she rips his grotesque mask from his face, ending his reign in a cloud of blood and sand. The warlord chokes on his last breath as the rig crashes through the final line of resistance. The convoy halts. The Citadel looms ahead. They've made it, battered, bloodied, but alive, and behind them, the wasteland burns. The war rig limps into the Citadel, engines sputtering, bodies bruised but unbroken. Above, the people of the fortress peer down in silence, watching as the dust clears to reveal a blood-soaked victory. Furiosa, supported by Max and the wives, staggers from the cab, her breath shallow but her spirit unyielding. Immortan Joe is dead, his corpse displayed like the tyrant he was. At first, there's hesitation, then movement. One of the Citadel's war-pups, just a boy, lowers a gate. Others follow. The oppressed begin to emerge from the shadows, their eyes wide with disbelief. The system built on fear is crumbling. The symbol of power is gone, and in its place stand the ones who took it back. Furiosa is lifted up by the people, by the Vuvolini, by the very hands once crushed under Joe's rule. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Her scars, her silence, her survival, they say everything. A new reign begins, not one of domination, but of hope. The Citadel's lifeblood, its water, pours freely now, released from its chains. Children dance beneath the downpour. The people cheer. The wives, once hidden and silenced, now stand proud before a crowd that sees them not as property, but as heroes. The Vuvolini take their place as protectors, guardians of this reclaimed world. Max watches it all from a distance. Furiosa turns to him, eyes searching his. They've bled together, fought and suffered, built something out of ruin. In another life, maybe they'd stay side by side. But Max is the wasteland, a ghost of vengeance, a guardian of the broken. He nods. No words, just understanding. Then he disappears into the crowd, slipping away like smoke into the desert wind. His purpose isn't here, not anymore, but what he helped ignite, that will burn forever. The camera rises. Below, the citadel breathes again, alive with promise. Above, the wasteland stretches outward, endless, cruel, and waiting. But for the first time, there's a crack in the sky, a chance, a future. And in the distance, where the sand meets the sun, a lone figure walks the road once more, not as a drifter, but as a legend.